They're yours. Hit that one more time. I am the number one determinant of the success or failure. Here we go. Of my students. Hey, y'all, you have a strong summer. Kick some butt next year. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you. That's the mindset. That's the attitude. Love you guys.
And we are live. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to week 132 of the virtual AP Leadership Academy. Let me see who we got here. We got a long list of folks checking in already. We got John Few. Good morning to you. Vanessa Zeskin, James Wilburn, Dr. Roz Gaskins, Lily Lanier, Vanessa Zeskin, Takesha High, Darnell McElveen, Hotep up there in Minneapolis, Scott Wiley, John Hirricks, Michael Benton. If you missed the broadcast with Michael Benton and I, and Greg Sneed, make sure you check that out. I forget what number it is, but it's about 3 weeks ago. We got Angela Jones in the building, Lawana, my man, Creek. Congratulations on that award, sir. Many more to come. We got Rashard Davis out there in Vegas, Cindy Jones, Felicia Wilson, Tony McClenny, Janetta Saunders Vaughn. And by the way, folks, as you come in, hit the share button, hit the retweet button. This is Solo Saturday. I'm going solo. No guest today. Just got a whole lot to talk about. Let's see. Grace Castaneda, my man, Principal Otis Kitchen II. Check out our interview as well. We did one a few weeks ago, about a couple months ago, I guess it was. Check them out. Where we at here? We got Latresa Latanya Charles in the building, Rodney Richardson in the building. We got Principal Allison Geary in the building. I'm going to talk about y'all in a little while too. But good to see you, Principal Geary Allison. We got my man. I was calling him Eder all this. How long now, sir? About 2 decades. And then I heard Anibal say Eder. Right? Eder El Joseph. Good to see you, sir. Good to see you. Yeah, 132. It is amazing. I'm amazed by it, to be quite frank with you, particularly those days I got to travel. Can y'all believe I have a 4 o'clock flight today? That means I got to get to the airport 2 hours, leave 2 hours early. But that's what it is when you choose this life. But we got a session to do. Let's see. We got Erica Kelly. We got Facebook user in the building. Facebook user, check out. That's Miss Washington. Check out what I wrote on when you wrote on my thread. Check out my response, and I show you how to get rid of that Facebook user. Kimberly Broughton Kafele, the queen. My wife is in the building. Eureka McAfee is in the building. We got another Facebook user down in Hillsborough County, Tampa. There's my man, Elmani Viney. Elmani, did you make it in time, that registration for the Black Men Educators Convening in Philadelphia? I hope to see you down there. I'll be there bright and early on Friday the 17th, I think. Right? I'll be on a panel with my man, Principal L. Kwame Simmons and others. So hopefully I see you down there. They sold out though, but maybe you got in there. Lisa B. Woods Herman, Byrion Collins, man. We just did an interview. I was in Jamaica. She was in Louisiana, but you got to check that one out. It's about 2 weeks ago, along with 2 other APs. Vanessa Zeskin, Will Turner, Bobby Murphy, September Daniels is in the building, and there's Greg Sneed. He's here, so check out me and Greg and Michael Benton a few weeks ago. Lisa DeBose Walker's in the building. Cammie Berry's in the building. Nikita Jones in the building. Hey, y'all, hit that share button, hit the share button, hit the retweet button. Let them know we are here for Solo Saturday. I got a lot to talk about. You know, when I go solo, man, I mean, I got things on my mind. We got Allison Manuel in the building, Lisa Jordette, Principal Dot McKeever Jeter, Rochelle Brown, and I'm getting ready to get it started. Allison Manuel's in the building from Lafayette, Louisiana. I've been there before, too, to speak. I haven't been there in a while. Kathy Delamonte, Arcella Ostreet, my man Lewis Saunders in the building, Stephanie Jacobs, Jocelyn Nelson, Renee Graham, Yolanda McKinney is in the building, and there's my man Michael Moore. You know, Mike, I'll be in Raleigh this Thursday. So if you want to connect with me, I'll be in Raleigh, but I'm speaking from 9 to 3, and then I got to catch a quick flight to Chicago. So, you know, I ain't going to have a lot of time, but I'll be in Raleigh from 9 to 3. I'll be speaking all day with the North Carolina Department of Education. So reach out to me so we can see if we can coordinate that. Jay Johnson's in the building. My wife said, boo, on that flight I got today, man. I got a flight right after I get off of here. Isn't that crazy, y'all? Look, y'all, let's get going. Let me say to you all now, formally, good morning. Man, it feels good when I'm home. I don't have to, I could let loose, man. I got to say that again. Good morning. Greetings. Welcome to week 132 of the virtual AP Leadership Academy. And as I always say, I don't know about you, but I think I know. I mean, you here. But if you would just give me the opportunity, because I want you to know something, right? I just want you to know how I feel, because I hope it resonates with how you feel, regardless of what kind of week you may have had. So just indulge me for a second while I let you know that I'm on fire. Woo! Release. Let me tell y'all something, man. First, let me say shout out to Oklahoma ASCD, man. Man, they came out in big numbers. And we had virtual AP Leadership Academy family in the building, man. We had Melissa Jones Chunu was there. We had Principal Allison Geary was there. Trinity Price AP was there. My man Anthony Cherry, I think is AP, but he was there. And then Principal Elaine Buxton, I met her like 2 decades ago at ASCD. She was there. And then so many others who weren't at that table where I ate lunch that I may not have had the chance to talk to and know that you're part of this virtual AP Leadership Academy family. But shout out to just all the folks and the ones I just mentioned who came out, as the preacher says in the church, and saw it not robbery, right? On a school day, it wasn't free admission, you got to pay, right? And all them folks that were there, I mean, they ain't paid me now. That was the Oklahoma ASCD. I'm just the guest speaker. But we went from, what time we go from like 8:30 to 3. But here's why I'm telling you this. Another reason why I'm telling you. I ended at 3. The program ended at 3:30. I sat in my rental car till 6. Let me say that again. I sat in my rental car until 6 o'clock. Why 6 o'clock? You ended at 3:30? Y'all, I had to decompress, man. I could not start that car. I could not put that car into gear. I had to just sit there. Like, I was just in a zone. I think I posted a couple times. I posted about the event. But sometimes you just listen. I gotta holler at somebody, because somebody think I'm talking about me, and I'm not. I'm talking about you. Sometimes you have to just take it down, and that might not be like in the ideal place, like in your home, your living room, in the hotel room. It might be like I'm in the car in the parking lot. I just had to. I had to bring it way down. I was telling folks I'm going to go see the Oklahoma City Thunder play the Denver Nuggets, because I was in Oklahoma City. So I was going to go to the game. Man, I couldn't sit in no game. I would have been sitting there watching the game like this. I'd have been nodding, man. So I said, let me just sit here. Then went to the hotel, ate dinner, and went to bed. I woke up with so much energy. I said, I wish I had this kind of energy for the 8:30 to 3 crowd, right? I didn't have that. They didn't know it though, but I knew it. I knew I was struggling because I was just worn out, man. So I'm saying to you, I'm saying to somebody out there, sometimes you just got to take it down. Sometimes you just got to decompress, man. Sometimes you gotta cut the phone off. Sometimes you gotta cut everything off and just bring it down. I don't even mean sleep. Just bring it down, right? So again, shout out to Oklahoma ASCD, but also shout out to my brother's keeper, New York. I don't know if my man Dr. Aniel Austin, who's the assistant commissioner of education in New York State, but he's the head of my brother's keeper, New York. Man, I'm working with the young men, the fellows. And I'm teaching them public speaking, 3 hours, 90 minutes last week, 90 minutes this week coming virtually, and just teaching them public speaking because they got to give a speech. They got to give a 2-minute speech about their experiences as being my brother's keeper fellows. So they call on me every year, and I love it. I'm honored by it to just sit here and teach them public speaking, just all aspects of public speaking. So shout out to my brother's keeper, MBK, New York, and Dr. Aniel Austin for seeing it not robbery, for bringing the kid, the brother, to talk about public speaking. Let's go, y'all. Welcome to the first timers. Glad you're here. Don't let this be your last. Let it be your first. And then while you're at it, don't stop. Well, I see we got Jamaica in the building, man. What's going on here? We got on what's man on Anna C's Adrian nephew watching from Jamaica. J.A., let me know what part of Jamaica you're in. I appreciate that, man. We international, y'all. We international. We're not just in the U.S. We international, right? So where we at here? So don't let this be your last time. Go to the Virtual AP Leadership Academy YouTube channel and binge watch the previous or the preceding 131 sessions. They're all relevant. One of the difference between this platform and some of the other podcasts that are out there, once you get past the week, sometimes that content is not relevant because it was relevant for that time. With this going to be relevant for your entire career, right? You go back to week 1, it's relevant, right? It may not look the same. I ain't had this kind of quality, man. I was a baby. What I know about lighting and the best camera on the market. What I know about that? I was recording out of the cell phone. That was my camera. So we've come a long way. Let's keep going. Congrats to all the folks landing those positions. Believe it or not, I've been getting some. I got the job. So congrats to them. My books, real quick. These are the two, not that one. These are the two that coincide with the academy, the assistant principal 50, the aspiring principal 50. I signed a lot of these this week, man. Keep them coming, y'all. If you don't have your copy, get your copy. And then this is the newest one, the Equity and Social Justice Education 50. You got some states out there, they sabotaging this book, man. The word equity, they make them, ooh, equity. Oh, God, don't bring that here, right? So, but that's the world we live in, right? So let's see. I'm rocking the ABC, Atlanta Black Crackers, Negro League. I had the GOAT last week on. I hope y'all saw that one. If you didn't see it, you better go back and watch it. Week number 131, Dr. Gloria Latson Billings. Oh, man. We went 2 hours. I don't go 2 hours with one guest. That's usually when I got 3. But we went 2 hours. I was over at NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, and we did that live. And man, what an interview! So she says she had family that played for this team, right? So that's why I'm bringing her up in that context. And I think I'm done. Let's go, y'all. I got a lot to talk about today. Navigating assistant principal leadership frustration, discouragement, and disappointment. I did the first part the first Saturday in October. Couldn't even get through it. It was so much there. I'm in part 2. This is going to take me 5 parts. So I'm going to do the next part December 1st, and then the next one January 1st, and then February and March I'm not doing solos because this Black History Month, Women's History Month. I got all these dynamite people coming on here. I'm not going to do any solos because I need those guests on each week. And then April and probably May I'll finish up navigating AP leadership frustration, discouragement, and disappointment. And for those that didn't see the first one, go back to the first Saturday in October and watch that because it coincides with this. But just to give you the rundown again as to why I would even spend all this time talking about something negative, frustration, discouragement, and disappointment, is because frustration, discouragement, and disappointment are also a part of the work. It's part of the job. I mean, you can go in there and feel positive, which I would want you to do. But the bottom line, right? The bottom line is they're going to be those days, or they're going to be those weeks, or they're going to be those months, or it's going to be that year that it was just a frustrating year. Pandemic is a perfect example. It's just going to be it was just a discouraging year. It was just a disappointing year. So frustration, discouragement, disappointment, and I can go on and on. Those are a part of the work. And that's why I preface this with the word navigating. Notice I didn't use the word solutions to. I didn't use the word strategies for. I said navigating, because it ain't going nowhere. If you're a human being and you love children and a child underperforms or a child has some kind of hardship, it's going to be discouraging. It's going to be disappointing. And you're not going to have a solution to whatever that hardship may have been, depending on what it was and its severity, but you can navigate it. So therefore, I chose this word navigating, not solving, not resolving, not solution, not strategy, but how am I going to navigate this stuff that wasn't in the job description, this stuff that wasn't in grad school, this stuff that the professor didn't talk about, but this stuff that seems to dominate my role as AP, or my role as principal, or my role as superintendent, or my role as teacher, or my role as counselor, or whatever it is that I do for a living, or your life outside of school. Hey, somebody, I'm like way off script, but I'm still relevant. You got stuff that happens in your home. You got stuff that happens amongst family. And some of that stuff, depending on what it is, you can't resolve it necessarily on the spot. You may not have a solution for it necessarily on the spot, depending on what it is. And I'm not going to start just making up stuff and stereotyping, just whatever it is. But you got to at least be able to navigate it toward the solution. So that word navigate is critical here. So let's get into it, and again, as I said last week, I'm putting a heavy duty emphasis on your people skills and your communication skills as you engage in the navigation. Let me see something. Somebody's trying to talk to me here real quick. Yes, sir. Elmani, hoping you save one day to talk with us in the dean role and how we did a Hey, Elmani, I'm gonna get you on here for that specific purpose. Just give me some time, man. I got a list that's 5 years long, right? It's I didn't know this thing was going to get to where it is. So we gonna do it. We got you. So y'all, let's get into it. I got 20 items today. I'm gonna talk fast. If you're taking notes with a pen or a pencil, write fast. If you're typing, type fast, because I want to get through all 20 of these within by 12:30 Eastern time, because I got a flight, man. Let's listen. Number one, being and feeling overwhelmed and inundated with meaningless, monotonous responsibilities. In other words, the dirty work can be frustrating, discouraging, and disappointing. Hey, somebody, hit that share button, man. Hit that retweet button. Let them know I am ready. So once again, being and feeling overwhelmed and inundated with meaningless, monotonous responsibilities. In other words, the dirty work can be frustrating, discouraging, and disappointing. So what are we going to do? I got a series of questions and comments, self-reflection always. You know, we always right here, self-reflection, right? So I got a series of self-reflective questions for you to navigate what we're doing here. So I'm asking the question, what am I doing to diversify my workload toward giving myself a sense of self-fulfillment? So again, what am I doing to diversify my workload toward giving myself a sense of self-fulfillment? So in other words, I'm not even talking about you going to the leadership just yet. I'm talking about you going to this person, right? The person in your mirror. What are you doing? What initiative are you taking? Right? Of course, you're going to clear it with this with the principal, right? With the one in charge. But I'm asking first, so you see yourself in a situation where you're bored with the work, you're frustrated with the work, you're overwhelmed by the work, you're inundated with the work, but it's not the work that you signed up for. It's this monotonous work. It's this meaningless work. Meaningless in the context of the bottom line of young people being successful. So I'm asking you first and foremost, what are you doing to diversify your workload? If I can use myself as an example, I was that guy. I was in that position. I was doing the meaningless work every day, which meant I was reading disciplinary referrals every day. I was making decisions in terms of consequences every day. That is, for me, that is meaningless work. Because as I preach across this country, the issue is not discipline. The issue is the culture of the school. The discipline is the manifestation of a culture that needs maximum attention. So I'm dealing with the end result instead of dealing with the bigger picture as to why. So what can I do to diversify my work to give me a sense of self-fulfillment so I can feel at the end of the day that I accomplished something? So I started looking at the holes. Like where are there holes that need to be filled? And as I started to identify that there were certain holes where nothing was being done, I said, let me insert myself there. Let me go to the principal and ask, can I initiate something here? Can I initiate something there? So I started filling in those holes. Right? But it wasn't something that someone told me to do. It was me opening up my eyes a little wider and stretching out my ears, opening up my ears a little wider and identifying, what do I hear? What do I see? In fact, my nose broadening that. What do I smell? Right? What is that thing out there that I can be doing that adds value to this school, that adds value to the lives of children? So I'm asking you, as I'm spending more time on this than I had planned to, what are you doing to diversify your workload toward giving yourself a sense of self-fulfillment? Because, hey, somebody, I can see I'm not going to get to all 20 because I'm on 1A and can't seem to get off of it, right? So we'll do whatever I can. But I'm saying to somebody, open your eyes a little wider. You're in a school. That means there's a lot of things to do. But it also means there's a lot of things that are not happening. What are you doing to maybe fill in some of those voids, some of those empty spaces, some of those holes? So then beyond that, there's a need for a conversation at the end of the day with that principal so that you can talk about the fact that you want more exposure to more facets of school leadership. That person could be taken for granted that you're happy. Because quite frankly, there's some people that are very content with them disciplinary roles. There are people, because I meet them, they good with that. Right? They're good with that. So I'm saying to you, have the conversation. Let me say this loud. Assume nothing. Let me say it again. Assume nothing. Don't make assumptions that the principal doesn't want you to be engaged in X, Y, and Z. Have the audacity to engage the principal in a conversation. That's not a tough thing to do. You're the number 2 person in the building as an AP. If you're a team of APs, then you're all number 2. Right? There's no 2A and 2B and 2C, y'all too. So engage the principal in the conversation that I feel like I want to do more. I feel like I can do more. I feel like I can be of more assistance to you and your vision. I feel that I can take some more of the work off of your plate. I just want to have more opportunity. Engage the principal in the conversation. And then remember, you can never grow as a leader if your responsibilities boil down to meaningless, monotonous work that I can train anybody to do. The meaningless work, anybody can do that. See, the real work, when the rubber meets the road, that's instruction. That's the real work. Instructional leadership is the real work. Now, is there other work that's real? Of course. But at the end of the day, the students are in the building to learn. Is there something about your leadership that increases the probability that young people are, in fact, learning at optimal levels in your school? Like, I hope Sheikah Houston's on here, Dr. Sheikah Houston. What a session she just did. She went solo today because Dr. Tammy Taylor is out here presenting in South Carolina. So Dr. Houston was on today, and she might be one of these where it says Facebook user, because she was having this problem. A lot of people gonna have this problem. In fact, I need to give y'all a commercial and tell you why so many of you say Facebook user, but I'll do that later, right? But I will say this. Her theme was the correlation between effort and outcomes in terms of students being in school but questioning, why is this important if I can't attach it to an outcome? See, why is this important if I can't attach it to an outcome? And that's common sense. That was certainly my young life. I don't see the correlation when I'm young between effort and how that's going to open doors of opportunity for me later on. I couldn't make that correlation. I couldn't create that bridge. So here, as instructional leader, if you're engaged in monotonous stuff, meaningless stuff, then you're not even in position to facilitate what's happening in that classroom to ensure that students are in a classroom where it is clear, it is apparent, it is evident that this work is a vehicle to my success later on. It matters, right? It matters. Let's go. I'm on number 2. I'm going to try to get to number 20, but it's 11:23 now. Let's see how we do. Number 2, being and feeling overwhelmed with the necessary work. Now, before I said being and feeling overwhelmed with the meaningless work. Now, watch this. Being and feeling overwhelmed with the necessary work. The real work can be frustrating, discouraging, and disappointing. Let me say this to some of y'all out there. I said I was going to do a commercial. A lot of y'all, you got that notification from Facebook. I'm talking to Facebook people now. And it said that you could monetize potentially, but it said you got to switch your page to a professional setting. Well, when you switched your page to a professional setting, what it did was it took away your name when you go on a StreamYard or other streaming platforms, and it puts you on as Facebook user. I found that out because I was posting on 8 Black Hands last Sunday night, and I was showing up as Facebook user. So I converted it back to personal, and then my name will show up. And then once I'm not posting, then I could put it back to professional. So if you want your name to appear, take it off of that professional setting. Just go to them 3 dots to the right, click, go back to personal setting, and your name will show up. And then once we come off of here, go back to professional so you can make some of that Facebook money they promising. They said you could monetize, but I didn't see how do you do it. But, I'm just letting you know that's that quick commercial. All right, y'all, let's go, because there's a lot of y'all showing up with Facebook user, and that's why, because you have it. It says your page says something creator. What's that? I can't remember that language. But you got to turn that off. because you're showing up as Facebook user. That's what's going on. All right, here we go. So being and feeling overwhelmed with the necessary work, the real work, can be frustrating, discouraging, and disappointing. So in other words, here I'm saying you can feel that sense of feeling overwhelmed and inundated when you're doing the real work, when you're doing the necessary work. So how am I going to handle that? And I got 3 questions. 3 questions. How would I rate my planning skills? Once again, how would I rate my planning skills? Number 2, how would I rate my organizational skills? And number 3, how would I rate my time management skill? See, of course, you're going to be overwhelmed. You're going to feel overwhelmed if your planning is poor. Of course, you're going to feel overwhelmed if your organizational skill is poor. Of course, you're going to feel overwhelmed if you don't know how to manage time. See, you got to know how to manage it. See, with me, my lifestyle is different from a lot of folks on here. So I fly planes all the time. I mean, I'm not the pilot, I'm the passenger, right? But I'm in planes all the time. So instead of me sitting there just listening to music, I'm going to use that time to get work done. If I need to read something, I'm going to read something. I'm on a flight like today, I'll be flying, 5 hours? So I'm going to get engaged in reading. I'm going to engage in starting next week's notes for this platform. I'll do that today on the plane, right? I'll engage in the administrative aspects of Principal Kafele Consulting, right? So all that kind of stuff, I'll do that. I'm instead of sitting on the plane sleeping or sitting on the plane bopping my head to a song, let me be productive. So I've already planned that. I know what I'm going to do on that plane today. I'm organized, right? So I know what I'm going to do relative to planning, relative to organization, and I'm going to manage my time wisely so that by the time I land, all this work that I may have gotten to next week is done. See, so again, being frustrated and feeling overwhelmed with the necessary work can be frustrating. Being and feeling overwhelmed with the necessary work can be frustrating, discouraging, and disappointing. So I'm just asking you, how would you rate yourself relative to how you plan? How would you rate yourself relative to your organizational skill? How would you rate yourself relative to how you manage your time? Those matter. And you know the answer. And chances are, if you're overwhelmed, then your planning might be insufficient. How you organize might be insufficient. How you manage time might be insufficient. How you manage others might be insufficient because you are a supervisor. You are a leader. So how you manage other people might be insufficient. You got to go to that mirror. You got to cut off all the devices, and you got to look at you, and you got to figure that out. Because regardless of what others say, 24 hours is enough time. It's enough time to work. It's enough time to eat. It's enough time to sleep. It's enough time to play. It's enough time. But it boils down to how productive you are with your planning and your organization and your time management. Let's go. Number 3, your suggestions for improvement not being received by your principal can be frustrating, discouraging, and disappointing. Once again, your suggestions for improvement are not being received by your principal can be frustrating, discouraging, and disappointing. Let's talk about that. This is why I like principals to come on as well, not just the AP, because the principal needs to hear this. The principal may not even be, a lot of these topics might not even be on the principal's radar. So the principal needs to hear this too. It's like, one of them thoughts, like light bulb, like, oh, I need to tweak some things in my leadership as to why my AP is feeling the way he or she is feeling, or my AP is not as productive as he or she could be because it's rooted in my principal leadership. So with that said, watch this, y'all. Have I discussed the outcomes of my suggestions Have I discussed the outcomes my suggestions will produce? Let's talk about that one. I see Mary Teresa Fulp on here all the way out in Anchorage, Alaska. She's going to be my guest soon, right? So good to see you, Principal Fulp. She's the Alaska Principal of the Year right now, right? Alaska Principal of the Year. Man, we got high-powered people that come on here, man. So like again, your suggestions for improvement are not being received. So I'm asking you to ask yourself the question, have I discussed the outcomes my suggestions will produce? So here's the difference. In the sales world, there's these two categories, features and benefits. Again, features and benefits. So the salesperson that's selling features is probably an underperforming salesperson. But the salesperson that understands how to sell benefits, like what is it this thing I'm selling, how will it benefit me? Not that it has the great engine, the great transmission, the interior looks good. No, those are features. But what are the benefits of that? See, the benefits. So as you're talking to the principal, you're not just in there, you upset, but I want to do this and I want to do that. And I want to be exposed to this, and I want to be exposed to that. No, that's features. And that might not move that principle. But imagine had you tweak the conversation, tweaked the language, and you said, I want to do this because, and now you talk about what it's going to produce, how it makes the school better, how it makes the principal's job easier or more productive, how it makes the teachers better, how it makes the students better, how it shifts the culture of the school, how it raises the achievement levels of the school, how it enhances the community surrounding the school, how it streamlines various different procedures that occur in your school, and I can go on and on. So in other words, as you engage principal in conversation, you're not trying to sell features. Your attempt is to sell benefits. What is this going to do for me? So I'm the principal, and here you coming to me. You got to talk to me in a way that I say, oh, this is going to make my life better. This is going to add value to my life. This is going to enhance my professional life, this thing that you're proposing to me. See, you're selling benefits. But when you're in there so strictly features, people don't always hear that. They hear benefits. See, I would like to think that this platform over the past 132 weeks is selling benefits, right? As opposed to features. That one could take notes, one could absorb and go back. This has made my life a little better, if not a lot better, in my capacity or my interviewing for the job or whatever the case may be, right? But make that distinction between features and benefits. So have I discussed the outcomes of my suggestion? Have I discussed the outcomes my suggestions will produce, right? The difference between features and benefits. But secondly, there's a need for the conversation. And if you feel you've reached a dead end, watch this. Let me repeat that. If you feel you have reached a dead end in the conversations, which is inclusive of the benefits, then I want to remind you of something. Keep your focus on your bigger picture. Once again, keep your focus on your bigger picture of leading your own school one day. Don't burn down the bridge. See, sometimes some of us, we get so upset over different things that we burn bridges. Don't burn down the bridge, right? Because at the end of the day, there's a principalship that's going to open up. Melissa Jones Chunu said, keep the main thing the main thing. A principal position is going to open up and you're going to apply. And guess who's the number one person you need as a recommendation? The one who's on the other side of the bridge that you burned down. Let me say that again, because somebody might have missed that. Somebody gets caught up into keeping it real, man. I know all that stuff, man. There's a position that's going to open up. It might be in your district. It might be on the other side of the country. It doesn't matter. Somebody's going to ask for a recommendation. And if the previous supervisor, the person who was your principal, is not one of the people that you have in your list of recommenders, that's going to raise a red flag. Like, why is that person? Like, I see you got your friend here that recommended. I see you got your college professor that recommended you, right? I see you got your old colleague from back in your teaching days that recommended you. But where's the principal that you just work for? You sitting in there like Ralph Cramden, a humming, right? You know, like what's the name of that song? Ed Norton, right? So you got to know the Honeymooners to know what I just said, though. So now I'm saying to you, don't burn that bridge. Because if for nothing else, you need that recommendation from that person, because that job's got your name on it, man. That new principalship's got your name on it. It's tailor-made for your style of leadership. And the only thing separating you from the board approving the superintendent's recommendation is the recommendation from the previous principal. I'm saying all that to say, don't burn down that bridge. Don't burn that, man. Dr. Houston said, I teach students not to burn bridges too, man. Don't burn that bridge, man. Right? So therefore, if you reach the dead end, y'all, I ain't going to get to number 20 today. That's out. If you reach that dead end, then always remember, the assistant principalship was not the end game anyway. I'm not talking about the career APs, because that's not the majority of you. The principalship was where you trying to get to. The AP position was just your stepping stone. That's why when I stepped on that AP stepping stone, I ain't even let my shoe get firmly into the stone, because I stayed there for 1 year and then I became principal. Man, you ain't see my footprint. I mean, I had mud on the bottom of my shoe. Watch this, y'all. I had mud on the bottom of my shoes. And that mud didn't show up on that step called the assistant principalship, because I stepped on that thing so quick, the mud ain't have time to transfer, because next thing I knew, I was principal. Now, someone's saying, well, you were mighty lucky. No, I wasn't lucky at all. I was smart. I was strategic. I went to that superintendent when he made me AP, and I started selling him benefits, man. Y'all don't hear me. I started selling benefits. I started while I was a first month AP saying, yo, don't forget me. Because I ain't go to grad school to be an AP. I understand that's the sequence, but I didn't go there to become an AP. I went to grad school to become a principal. So keep your eye on me. So then now I got all these non-responsibilities. I'm inundated in meaningless work. But I saw a hole here, a hole here, a hole here, a hole. Let me fill them holes, man. Let me fill them voids, man. Let me fill them. And now I'm filling them. And then guess, superintendent, hey, check out what I just did. Sue, hey, come on down to the school and check out what I got going on. He saw that, man. He called me at the end of the school year. You ready? You daggone right, I'm ready. I'm trying to holler at somebody. Because somebody out there, y'all trying to keep it real, right? You can be real all you want, right? You better be, I got a better expression for you. Keep it strategic, right? So keep it real. Nah, keep it strategic, right? I just coined that. I think I'll go register that and have it put an R next to it. Register. That's my copyright, right? Keep it strategic. Sometimes when you keep it real, you sink too low. Right? You keep it strategic. That's where you want to be, right? Let me go. That's why I can't get to number 20, because I keep sidetracking myself, right? So let's go. Number 4, your principal. But see, wait a minute. Hold up. Pump the brakes, man. That's what good teachers do, man. Y'all know that. That's why you come here every week. The good teacher is not the one that follows the script. The good teacher is the one that, okay, I got the script, but I got all this extra to bring the script to life. Y'all don't hear me. You don't hear me. Y'all can tell I got good rest last night, right? Listen, the good teacher, the great teacher, the master teacher, yeah, they got the curriculum. Yeah, they got the lesson plan, but they got all that extra. They got all them illustrations. They got all them stories. They got all them narratives. They got all them examples, right? To bring the script. Here go the script. To bring the script to life. Here's what the good teacher, the master teacher does. Watch this, y'all. Here go the lesson plan. Here go the script, right? And they go like this here. They breathe life into it. But if you are inundated with meaningless work and you're not in that classroom, then you might have some script followers. And let me go further, man. I guess I'm a master teacher this morning, because watch this. So the one following the script, youngster right here don't get it. Youngster over here don't get it either. Youngster over here doesn't understand it. Youngster over here doesn't understand it. Youngster under here doesn't understand it. And I can keep going. But the teacher is following the script and says, yo, I got to cover this information. I got people breathing down my neck. I got a timeline. I got a time frame I got to adhere to. So I got to get through this, right? I got this pacing chart. I got to get through this. So they follow the script, follow the script, follow the script. So now the majority of the students in the classroom have failed the next exam. And we pointing fingers at them. Yeah, they ain't interested. Yeah, they just like I had her sister, I had her brother, he the same way. I had his mother, she the same way, right? No, because you ain't do this. You ain't breathe no life into that thing. That's why I breathe life into this academy every week, especially for this solo Saturday, man. I can't be following this. That's why I can't never finish it. Because I got to bring this thing to life, man. Facebook users, y'all better take that professional setting off and put it back on that personal so I can know who you are making these posts, all these Facebook users on here. Because Facebook told you could monetize your post. Y'all got excited. I did too. And then I started posting on people's thread. It said Facebook user. Now, I need you to know that was me talking. Let's go. Where am I at now? So I'm on number 4. Your principal so I talked about that. Your principal inadequately. No, here we go. Your principal inadequately preparing you for the principalship or avoiding providing you with the opportunity to grow can be frustrating, discouraging, and disappointing. Let me say that again. Your principal inadequately preparing you for the principalship or avoiding providing you with the opportunity to grow can be frustrating, discouraging, and disappointing. Let's talk about that. I got 3 questions for you. I'm going to go quick on this. Have I determined why this is my reality? I want y'all to hear that. I know it sounds like, I know what I just read. And it's saying you being deprived of an opportunity. But now I'm going to flip it back on you. I'm going to flip this right here. Have I determined why this is my reality? Listen, y'all, I know what my AP days were. And I haven't talked to that person since. Right? I had resentment in me. But I had the wherewithal. How old was I at that time? I was like I was 38. Yeah, I was 37. Yeah, I was 37. And I went to my mirror and I said, but have I determined why this is my reality? And I did. And because I do know this individual, I'm not going to tell you what that was, right? I'm going to leave that alone. Right. But I determined I determined the why. Why was this happening to me? I'm saying to you, you gotta figure that out. But then I'm saying, have I had the conversation with the principal? So yeah, I went on and had I had multiple conversations with the principal. And then what am I doing to carve out my own niche? And that goes back to what I said about filling in those voids. So I began to carve out my niche. One of the things that I pride myself on most, and I think I shared this in the previous session, but I'll share it again briefly, is when I created the Battle of the Homerooms competition. The Battle of the Homerooms, I would need a lot of time to explain it. I'll do that in a session where I devote time to something like that, but not today. But the Battle of the Homerooms was a question that I would ask. I started it in February, so it was Black History Month, where I would ask a question to the entire school. And each homeroom, and this is before internet was in the classroom, each homeroom had to figure out the answer. And then one student representative, this is before email, would bring the answer down to the office and put it in a box. I would compile it. Then we had a big competition later on, like Jeopardy, on stage, whole school witnessing. The winning homeroom of the 6 finalists would receive a pizza party, but 6 representatives from their homeroom on stage, 6 teams, 6 representatives per team, and they would figure out the answers just amongst the 6 of them with no resources, anything. This became such a big hit in the school. Superintendent knew that was my brainchild. See, and that's just one example. So that question, what am I doing to carve out my own niche? I created this thing, and then when I became a principal, I kept it with me for the entire 14 years of principal leadership because it was powerful, and the students got into it. So then here comes internet, here comes email. So now they could use the resources, but they still had to be the first ones to get the email to me, because after the first homeroom, I cut it off. So you could send me all 30 homerooms, whatever number of homerooms in the building, could send me an email, but I'm only accepting the first one, right? And then so every day we're doing another one. But my point, I don't want to get into the contents of that. My point is, I saw a void. I saw something. I saw an emptiness in the homeroom in the morning announcements, that I could bring life to that and make that more than just listening to announcements and the principal's message, that I could engage an entire school in the morning announcements. That was me, rookie AP. Battle of the Homerooms. See, I'm just trying to holler at somebody this morning, right? Think about what you can do if you're not getting those opportunities. Create them for yourself. It's doable. Just run it by the. If you selling benefits, how's the principal going to say no? That thing benefited a whole school. Matter of fact, here's one of the former students on here right now, Isaiah Holmes. Good to see you, sir. Now, I was in Oklahoma last week, and I don't know if you still live there though, but I know you were there. But Isaiah, he was one of my students. He knows. That's what I like about social media, man. You don't know who's gonna pop on here. Isaiah said, I think we would have. Yeah, y'all were. You were. I'm talking to my former student, man. And man, I love me some social media. Let me get back on it. Hey, Principal Fulp, if you want more information, we could talk offline, and I give that to you as well. It was a beautiful thing, man. And because I started it during February and knew that Black History Month does not end at the end of February, we kept it going. So it wasn't just a February thing; it became an all-year thing. And so we're literally forcing them to look up facts about their history in order to win this competition. And then I started adding other things beyond African-American history just to diversify it. And it was a hit. Man, y'all got me all excited, man. You're gonna make me like go to some school district and apply for a principalship on Monday. Because now I'm feeling principal-ish, right? So let me get back to it. Number 5. Somebody said he on number 5 and he said he got 20 and it's 11:49. Y'all know I ain't gonna get to number 20 today. Number 5, inadequate exposure to all facets of leadership. So the difference here, before number 4, I said your principal inadequately preparing you. Now I'm saying in number 5, inadequate exposure to all facets of leadership can be frustrating, discouraging, and disappointing. So let me run through this quickly. The first thing I'm gonna ask you, what am I doing toward educating myself on these aspects of leadership I'm not being exposed to? Oh, man. Let me read that again. What am I doing toward educating myself. This is all history and education. This shelf right here, and most of this shelf down here that you can't see, these are all education books, man. And ain't none of them come from grad school, right? What am I doing toward educating myself on those aspects of leadership I am not being exposed to? See, what you doing? Ain't no one man, no one woman gonna stop this freight train, y'all. One person, a principal. Ain't no one one person, a principal, but you, let me get up in my camera on this one. You a freight train, man. You a freight train. I remember when I was down in Tulsa, Oklahoma, earlier in the year, trying to get to Black Wall Street, Greenwood and Archer, right at that intersection, and a freight train went by. Man, because we ain't got that kind of world up here in Jersey. I mean, they got them, but it's not part of our reality. A freight train went by, man. I must have sat there for like 20 minutes, maybe more. It's like the cars were endless. That's you. You a freight train. You telling me that one person gonna stop that freight train? You? Really? Come on, man. So I'm saying here, okay, you're not getting the exposure. You're not getting the exposure, but what am I doing to enhance my knowledge, to enhance my education, regardless of what I'm not getting? Because the AP position's just a stepping stone. So principals who are watching right now, I'm talking to you too. Because you are the principal of that AP. So you got to hold up that mirror to yourself. Am I the problem? Am I inhibiting my AP's growth and development professionally? Am I blocking their growth? Kafele stepping on toes this morning. I don't even know if I want to watch this. I don't like what he's saying because it's too truthful. It's me. I'm not allowing my AP to grow. Yeah. So that's why that's right, Principal Gary. You know I don't go nowhere without this thing. So I'm saying to you, make sure. Don't be threatened by that AP, because that's the operative word. Don't be threatened by that AP. Right? Let that AP grow. But principal, you have to define those lines. See, sometimes the lines get blurry. You have to define that. You are the principal, so accountability starts with you. But if the lines are blurred, that's because you let them be blurred. How I look as a principal and the lines between me and my APs are blurred. That's on me. That's not on the AP. That's on me. Right? So make sure that the lines are clearly defined as you move forward. Let's go. So part B to that question about all facets of leadership. What role? Oh, man, this is a big one. Y'all, I be putting a lot into these notes, man. What role is my circle playing to help me grow? Man. What role is my circle playing to help me grow? Now, for those of you wondering why I haven't been putting up comments, Sheikah said the same thing on her platform this morning. When you solo like this, it's hard, man. How am I going to look at my notes, look at me to make sure I'm looking right in the camera, and then, highlight. So it's hard, man. So I don't typically do it. I see the notes, but it's hard to be playing with it. Y'all know how that is. But I see you. I see you. Listen, your circle. Who's in your circle? That matters. Is your circle supportive? Does your circle understand what you do? Does your circle understand you? Is your circle a bunch of yes people? See that listen, somebody. It's so much going on in the news this week that I ain't going to talk about. I just talked about it by saying I'm not going to talk about it. So I gave you a context. Listen, y'all. You can't grow when everybody's saying yes and amen. Like when I'm doing a keynote, like I had the best amen corner that anybody could ask for. when you got Melissa Jones Chunu, you got Allison Geary, you got Trinity Price, you got Anthony Cherry, you got Elaine Buxton, all sitting at the same table in Oklahoma. You cannot ask for a better amen corner. They amen me from 8:30 to 3. And as a speaker, you need that. You need that. But what I'm saying, once I leave that speaker role, if everybody's yes, 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 amen, how am I going to grow? Like, where's the one that's going to check me? Where's the one that's going to challenge my thinking? Where's the one that's going to say, wait a minute, why don't you rethink that? Who's in your circle? See, if your circle is all praise and worship, they praise you, they worship you, right? They amen you, they yes you to death, right? Then I'm saying to you, I'm asking you, how you going to grow? Because they amening you on your faults. They amening you on your mistakes. Because they love you. But if they really love you and you have a fault, they're gonna point it out to you. Nah, don't go that way. Don't move this way. Move this way. Or at least they could give you their recommendation, and now you figure it out. As opposed, so I'm saying all that to ask you, who's in your circle? Because see, let me read number 5 again. Inadequate exposure to all facets of leadership can be frustrating, discouraging, and disappointing. So I'm asking you, well, what role is my circle playing to help me grow? So if you got the right circle around you, oh man, if you got the right circle around you, and now, even though I'm not growing because of the principle, but my circle, they helping me to grow. I know I'm part of a lot of people's circles. So sometimes we don't even use the language circle. I just know that when people lean on me for different things, I guess I must be part of their circle, tacit, unwritten, right? And that's cool. That's cool. I don't have to be in the same room with everybody else, right? Or someone may ask me something and they want me to give them something positive, and I'm like, nah, I can't. Right now, I want to keep it strategic, right? So keep it real in this regard, and let you know what I see. They might be putting up some bad post. Yo, I hit them up with an inbox. Yo, you might want to delete that. I know you got all them likes, you got all them hearts, all that praise in the comments. 1,000 people liked it, but check this out. They don't do what you and I do. They just supporters out there. They admire your work. I'm not one of your supporters. I'm not one of your fans. I'm someone that watches your work as a mentor. So despite all the newfound popularity you just got from that post, I'm saying to you, I'm telling you what I do, y'all. I'm saying to you, delete that. Delete it immediately. Take it down. You're sabotaging your own career. You're sabotaging everything you built. You're sabotaging all that blood, sweat, and tears you put into getting to where you are. So you want to put this post out there. Everybody, oh, they love you. Oh, you're so great. You're so great. But the clients read it too. That's what I mean by circle somebody. I hope you hear me. That's what I mean by your circle. Your circle got to check you, man. They can't just praise you. Let me keep going. I'm still on that number 5. What role is my thought partner playing in helping me to grow? So the question is, do I have a thought partner? The question is, do I have a circle? Right? So, and I don't mean the circle got to be 1 million people. Circle could be just 2 other people. 3, you and 2 others can form a circle, right? Or do you have that thought partner? See, so my man Josh said, I'm glad I haven't been called to Kafele's office on a bad post. Nah, you've been good, but it's some out there. They have been. Yeah. So your thought partner, your accountability partner. Don't just pick someone that loves you. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, you're the greatest thing ever born. No, find that one that says, yo, look, they look you straight in your eye. You ain't what you think you are. You ain't all that. You can become that. But there's still margin for growth, right? Will Turner said, when two or three are gathered, there it is. We got that circle, man. We got it. And then lastly, the conversation with the principal. Got to have the conversation. Let's go. I'm on number 6, y'all. I ain't getting to number 20. So that means I'm going to be stretching this thing all the way to June and July. Number 6, hit that share button, hit that retweet button. Let them know we here, man. We giving that information to navigate AP leadership frustration, discouragement, disappointment. Number 6, not being allowed to speak in staff meetings can be frustrating, discouraging, and disappointing. Man, y'all wasn't expecting that one. Listen, not being allowed to speak in staff meetings can be frustrating, discouraging, and disappointing. Before I throw my questions at you, let me just share this with you. That was part of my reality. I sat there. I sat in that cafeteria like I was one of the teachers, man. We'll pretend this is a microphone. I'm gonna order me a mic from Amazon so I can use a mic when I use these mic experiments instead of or examples instead of using an ink pen. But I didn't have that opportunity to stand before the staff and articulate what was on the agenda and all that stuff. I ain't know nothing about it, right? So not being allowed to speak in a staff meeting, that might be an extreme case. Maybe my case was extreme and maybe the rest of the world doesn't experience that. But it can be frustrating. It's very frustrating when you know you've got teachers in there who see that. They see it. And they probably wondering, like, why is he not talking? Right? So I got these 3 questions, I should say. 2 questions. Number 1, why can't I speak at a staff meeting? In other words, I want you to hold this up. I see you, Stallings. I want you to hold this up, right? And I want you to just ask yourself, what is it? You don't have the definitive answer, but what is it about me that I cannot speak to staff during staff meeting time? And you might find some things. You may not. It may not have anything to do with you. Don't get me wrong. But maybe it does. I don't mean in terms of you having a flaw. I mean, maybe you haven't spoken up. Maybe you didn't share with the leadership that, hey, principal, can I say some things too? Can I say some things in the meeting? Let me see what Gina said. I believe he's referring to AP not being able to talk to staff. What I mean by that, for those, if I confuse anybody, I mean a staff meeting that's led by administration where the AP is not allowed to speak. That's what I'm saying. The AP is sitting there taking it all in like everybody else. Not allowed to, here's a better word, not allowed to address the staff in the midst of a staff meeting. Like your name is not on the agenda to cover an agenda item. You just sitting there like the rest of the staff listening to the principal, right? Or if there's exchange going on, then you're watching the exchange. If there's interaction, if there's engagement, you're watching that, but you're not facilitating any of it. You're not addressing any of it. That's what I mean. That was my wife. That was my world as an AP. I don't know how many others experienced that, but that was my world. I didn't speak at staff meetings, and I didn't speak or address the graduates and the parents and the community at the graduation. I wasn't allowed. I wasn't allowed on the stage, right? So maybe that was extreme. I don't know, but here's the good thing: it made me better. Because I'm always going to turn a lemon into lemonade, man. I'm always going to do that. Ain't nothing stopping this freight train, baby. Nothing. I'm coming, man. So let's go. Let's go. If I do have the opportunity to speak at the staff meeting, now this for the rest of y'all that do speak. If I do have the opportunity to address staff, am I given the latitude to address them on topics that add value to the school. Once again, if I am given the opportunity to address staff in a staff meeting setting, am I given the latitude to address topics that add value to staff? So in other words, because you're able to say the copy paper will be arriving next week. So what? See, if I'm gonna talk to staff, and keep in mind, my staff meetings were pretty much geared towards teaching and learning, instructional leadership. So if I'm gonna add value, I want to talk about things that relate to young people being successful. I don't want to solely talk about the fact that the copier paper is arriving next week, or the supplies are arriving next week. So on the agenda item it says supplies. Okay, Mr. Kafele. So now I stand before the staff. The copier paper will be in by Wednesday. We'll have a system on how you get your paper. My wife laughing, man. The copier technician is going to be bringing in that part so that the copier is once again working. Nah, man, come on. I ain't go to grad school to learn how to say that, right? So if I'm going to speak at the staff meeting and all I can say is the supplies will be arriving on Wednesday, I'll put forth a procedure for how you obtain your supplies. Nah, man, I'm asking, as AP, are you able to speak substance, teaching and learning, school culture, school climate, equity, social emotional learning, blended instruction? I mean, I can go on and on. Is this what you talking about, or you just the dirty man? You the cleanup guy? It's your turn now. Good afternoon, staff. I just want everybody to know that I'm very satisfied with how the students moved from period 2 to period 3. The hallways were very quiet today. Come on, man. Let me speak of substance. Now, somebody out there might be saying, hold up, Kafele, because I work in a chaotic school. So if the hallways are if the hallways are quiet, that's like big time. We on our way to blue ribbon status, right? So so I guess it's all relative. Let me keep going. So that conversation with the principal is a necessity. You got to make it happen. But in the interim, watch this, y'all. Watch this. Studying the principal and asking yourself, who would you be in that situation, right? Because see, again, you're not stopping this freight train, or we could take it to the sky. You ain't stopping this jet plane either. See, now I'm not a passenger on the plane with this example. I am the plane. You ain't stopping this flight. You ain't stopping this jet, because you may want to have a ground stop. Those of you that don't know that kind of language, when it's a storm, the grounds crew, they don't work. So therefore, all airports are shut down until that storm is gone, right? Check this out. Ain't no storm stopping this flight. See, that's my mindset. That's my mentality. You got to have that mindset. You got to have that mentality. Yeah, you may have put some brakes in front of me, but you ain't stopping this flight, man. You ain't stopping this freight train. I'm coming. I just might have to take a dip. So the flight path, like where I live now, the planes don't fly over my house. I'm like right by Newark Airport where I live. I'm like right near it. So if it's not windy, the planes don't fly over my house. But if it's windy, they change the flight path, and every plane flying into Newark Airport flies over my house, because I'm right near. I'm near it in terms of flights, not near it in terms of driving, but near it in terms of airplanes. So I see every plane, I hear every plane, shakes the house, right? What I'm saying to you, they changed the flight path, but it's still going to get to the same place, the same airport, Newark Liberty International. So you may come up in here and you may try to stop me, but I'll just change my flight path. So instead of flying this way, I'll fly this way to get to the same place. That's got to be your mindset. That's got to be your mentality. That's got to be your attitude. Let me go to number 7. I'm going to take it to, it's 10, 12, 10. I'm going to take it to number 10, and then we're going to shut it down. Number 7, not being allowed to participate in the, now watch this, related to the staff meeting, not being allowed to participate in the development of the staff meeting agenda can be frustrating, discouraging, and disappointing. Now, I happen to know that there are APs who are victims of this. I certainly was, but I happen to know there are others because they've told me, right? So how can you be AP in a school? You're seeing the world through your lens, which is a world that the principal doesn't, a lens that the principal does not have. Not going to see the world the way you, no two people see the world the same way. So as AP, it's unavoidable that you participate in the development of the staff meeting agenda, because there are things you need to talk about that the principal can't talk about it the way you can. Right? So therefore, I'm asking the question self-reflectively, what is preventing me from participating in the development of staff meeting agenda? So what is that? And then obviously there's a need for a conversation where you're selling benefits, making the principal understand that by you participating in the development of the agenda and you presenting those items that you contributed adds value to that meeting, adds value to that school, adds value to your team. Number 8, not being allowed to participate in school level planning can be frustrating, discouraging, and disappointing. So I don't have to spend a lot of time there. Same question, why am I not allowed to participate? That's why this is so important. You got to get yourself one, because you got to ask those questions. I use it symbolically. What is it about me that I can't be a part of that process? What is it? What is that? Right? So, and then a conversation reminding the principal that you need to be a part of that process. But the conversation with the principal, that you're a reminder to the principal that you are a part of the leadership team. Sometime in a situation like that, the principal forgot who you are. The principal forgot the value of your role. The principal forgot the significance of your role. So you may have to remind principal, wait a minute, I'm here and I have a lot to offer, right? And then, so let's keep it going. There's a big one here. Number 9, watch this, y'all. Your voice, meaning your thoughts and ideas, not being welcome, can be frustrating, discouraging, and disappointing. Once again, your voice, meaning your thoughts, meaning your ideas, are not necessarily being welcomed, can be frustrating, discouraging, and disappointing. So here I'm asking you, why is it that your voice is not welcome with your leadership? What is it about you? And of course, you're going to go here first. You may not have the answer here, but you got to at least have the internal conversation. What is it about me that that my leader doesn't want to hear me? What's it about me? But the follow-up question is, why is my voice being silenced? Right? Why is my voice being silenced? And then obviously there's a conversation that needs to occur, because if you are hired to be AP, you're not solely a disciplinarian. You're not solely a lunch duty supervisor. You're not solely someone who loads buses, but you're someone with intelligence. You're someone with capacity. You're someone that knows things. You're someone that has something to offer, something to add for the betterment of that school. So you got to engage your principal in that conversation. That matters. And then lastly, I'm on number 10. Let me make sure number 11 is not so earth-shattering. No, I tell you what, I have to do number 11. So number 10 and 11. Number 11 is probably the most important I'm going to talk about today. So number 10, not being taken seriously nor respected by staff as a leader can be frustrating, discouraging, and disappointing. Once again, not being taken seriously by the staff can be frustrating, discouraging, and disappointing. So imagine, before I go to the questions, imagine your assistant principal or your principal. Like, let me use this example. I'll use this example in the next one. Imagine you're the principal, you're in leadership, but the staff just can't wrap their arms around the fact that you're a leader. They can't wrap their arms around the fact that you are one of the leaders in the school. They don't take you seriously. They don't necessarily respect you because they don't take you seriously. So if I'm sensing that, because if you have a staff that doesn't take you seriously, you can sense that. You know, you're going to know it by the way they react and respond to you. So now you got to go here. Is it the way I speak? Is it the things I say? Is it my demeanor? Is it my posture? Is it my attire? What is it about me? Is it the way I groom myself? You know, whatever. What is it about me that staff finds it difficult to take me seriously? That they're seeing me as a joke, right? You got to deal with that internally before you deal with it externally. So as you begin to deal with it externally, is there anything about me that's preventing me from being taken seriously? So if you're sensing that, you're noticing that, now you got to go to the principal and have a conversation, or your circle, or your accountability partner, or your thought partner, but somebody who's going to be frank with you, someone who's going to be serious with you, someone who's going to be honest with you, someone who's going to speak truth with you to help you to navigate why you're in a situation where you're not taken seriously. Now, you'll remember, those of you who were with me in October for Solo Saturday, where we dealt with this same topic. Part one, we talked about race. We talked about gender. We talked about sexual orientation. And certainly those factors one could incorporate into this internal discussion as to why I'm not taken seriously. Am I in a situation where there's racism in the building? And because I'm in terms of race, I'm of a minority compared to the majority, and just that alone, I'm not taken seriously. Or my gender, and I'm not taken seriously. Or my sexuality, I'm not being taken seriously, right? So you and I got to look within ourselves, but then you and I got to also compare notes with other people to figure out what that is, so that I can map out a plan for how I'm going to proceed. Because ultimately, you and I got to be taken seriously in this role. I want to go to number 11, last one. This is a big one. Not being taken seriously nor respected as a woman of color in leadership can be frustrating, discouraging, and disappointing. Now, last time in October, I talked, I just said a leader of color. But this one, I'm being a little bit more specific. Not being taken seriously nor respected as a woman of color in leadership can be frustrating, discouraging, and disappointing. Let me tell y'all something. There's quite a few women, maybe some of them on this call this morning, who have asked me to devote a whole session just to this. And I plan to, but I don't plan to be sort of the main facilitator of that. That would be all led by women. And we'll do that, because it's a topic that needs to be discussed, because there's a lot of women, and I haven't had Latino women address this to me. It's been Black women that address it to me. It doesn't mean it's not an issue with Latino women, but for whatever the reason, I just haven't had any come to me privately and address it to me. But Black women, I hear it all the time. They'll come right to me during a break and say to me, my biggest challenge is the fact that I'm a Black woman working in this school with and here's the thing. They'll say to me, it's not always in a school where Black educators are the minority. They'll also say this to me in a school where it's a Black population, but their role is women, which takes me to where I said I'm gonna hold off on an example. That role of the principal, and I'm not going to get into this. I'm not going to get into a dialogue about this, but that role of the principal on Abbott Elementary, right? It's so detrimental to me. And for those of you who are fans of the show, don't start sending me all these angry comments and all this kind of thing. I'm a fan of the show. I watch the show, but to see the volume of people who say to me, when I criticize that role of that principal, but the volume of people who will respond to me, but she reminds me of my principal, right? I see that all the time. Sometimes I got to delete those because I don't, because I just don't want that energy on the thread. But it's inundated, and then I'll go on certain other platforms that it's not mine. And it's just so many people will say, but she reminds me of my principal. She reminds me of my principal. So, and I'm saying, in my mind, I'm trying to look at it beyond the comment that was made, and I'm saying, but you know something? I'm not willing to believe. Call me naive. I'm not willing to believe there's a principle like that, right? There could be a principle that needs to tone it down, but I'm not willing to believe there's a principle like, what's her name, Ava. I'm not willing to believe that. So here, people see that role. And then this number 11 not being taken seriously or respected as a woman of color in leadership. And then they start imposing that role onto that principal in real time. And that's troublesome, because then it just creates more of a challenge for that principal who's leading that school, because people are taking a fictional character from a TV show, a sitcom, and saying, but that's how my principal is. No, she's not. Not to that extreme anyway, right? Are there bad principals out there? Of course there are, right? I understand that. But there are also a lot of great principals out there. So I'm saying here, my point here is not to talk about that show. My point here is to say that stereotype just creates an added burden that's on top of the burden that's already there, that so many women of color, and in this case, Black women, face in leading schools, whether it be with a white staff, a diverse staff, or a Black staff. So I'm saying here, I'm asking the question, to what extent have I conversed with the principal on this matter, where I'm an AP, because I'm not even talking about the principal now, but I'm an AP, but it seems that there's some things happening in this building toward me that should not be happening, but my perception is they're happening because I happen to be a Black woman, right? So I'm asking you, are you engaging principal in that conversation? Because see, there's certain things I'm going to let go because I'm trying to get to that next level. But one of the things I'm not going to let go is my pride. I'm not going to let go my joy and my happiness. You're not going to come in here and abuse me, right? So if you don't like me because I'm a Black woman, because I'm a woman of color, you're going to have to deal with me. You don't have to like me, but I'm not going to be put in a situation where I'm not taken seriously, where I'm not respected because I was born Black and woman, or because I'm Black and woman, right? I'm still going to be respected. I'm still going to be treated with respect, right? So therefore, I'm saying to you, leader out there who, as I'm wrapping up, who happens to be woman of color or specifically Black woman, you don't have to take that, but you do have to deal with it. You do have to address it, right? So go to your principal. And if your principal is the problem, if your principal is setting the tone, I'm still going to that person. I'm not going to burn that bridge with that person for the reasons I stated a half hour ago, but I'm going to that person. And I will be a squeaky wheel with that person if need be. I will be a thorn in that person's side if need be, because you hired me. I was appointed. I have been appointed to be an assistant in this school. So I'm going to be treated with respect. I'm going to be taken seriously. I am not going to be stereotyped. I'm going to be treated as the leader that I deserve to be treated as. So again, to what extent have I conversed with the principal about this matter? But secondly, what measures has the principal put in place to address and rectify this matter? So now I'm hollering at the principals on this thread and higher and the folks in higher level positions, the executive positions in particular. I'm saying to you, you hear me right now. Chances are there could be at least a woman of color in your district or principal that works right under you who is not feeling comfortable, who is not happy, who is not being taken seriously by staff, who is not respected by staff, I'm asking you, if it's happening, are you aware of it? And if you're aware of it, what are you doing about it? What are you doing to address it? It has to be addressed, right? Some kind of measures have to be in place because there's toxicity in your school. If I'm not being taken seriously because I'm a Black woman or because I'm a woman of color, and in a different discussion, I can just say woman, but that's what we did in October. I'm being specific now. Then there's some major aspects of the culture in that building that need to be addressed. There is toxicity in that school. And if it's happening under you, leader, then you are a part of the problem because it's happening under your watch. It's happening under your leadership. As principals, anything that happens in that school under our leadership is our problem. It's our issue. It's our concern. It's our challenge because that school has our name on it. On the outside of the school is the name of the building, which is visible, but also on the outside of the school is your name as the principal, which is invisible, but everybody's got some kind of supersonic lenses to be able to see it. So they got the virtual lens, right? So they can see it. So it's happening under your watch. So as leader, how are you addressing it? Because it cannot go on. It cannot be perpetuated. It cannot be sustained. But keep in mind, leader, if it is happening under your watch, you're being implicated as well, right? It cannot happen. Regardless if you're male, female, it doesn't matter, right? That woman in leadership who happens to be of color, who happens to be Black, has to be taken seriously, has to be respected in that school, right? And I'll leave that there. I got one more question to go with it. I had a three-parter here. What measures, this is back at the AP now, what measures have I taken or what adjustments have I made toward addressing this matter, right? So I'm saying here as AP, I'm going to the principal first. But if I'm not getting satisfaction, I'll walk the fine line, but I'm going to address this. I'm not going to lose my job. But quite frankly, if that's my reality, I don't want to be there anyway. I don't want to be in that. I don't want to be in that environment. Right. But if I have opportunity to address this in a way that I'm teaching, that I'm enlightening, that I'm educating, right, then it's a win-win for everybody. I get to lead. They get to learn. They get to grow. They get to improve. Right. So it's a win-win. But the bottom line for me spending all this time on number 11 and talking about the women of color being taken seriously and respected is that it's an issue. Right. It's an issue. And it's got to be paid attention to because and the reason I know it's an issue is because of the volume of women who write me who say, can you devote a whole session just to that? Right. Because there's so many of them who are grappling with it. It's an issue. Right. It's just a part of being Black and woman in America, being Black in America, being of color in America. It's just a part of the reality. And as I tell 100% of my audiences as I'm navigating ending, I have to navigate issues of race every day. I will navigate some kind of issue of race today. It just is what it is, right? But I've come to understand that, and I know how to deal with it, right? So with that said, I just completed number 11, and I'm gonna end it there. And then the first Saturday in November, I'll pick up with number 12. That means I don't have to do any planning in terms of writing for the next solo Saturday because it's already written, right? So look here, y'all. In Ty Muhammad, I know that. I addressed that the last in October, but we're gonna revisit that as well. There's just so much to talk about with that, and so much to talk about with so much of leadership. But look here, y'all. Appreciate you being here. If there's anybody here from my audience for tomorrow, I'll be speaking on a rare Sunday, Gulf Shores, Alabama tomorrow, and then Irving, Texas on Monday. So I got a flight in a few hours from now. I got to be on a plane by 4 o'clock. So if there's anybody from those two cities that will not from those cities, those are both conferences, but who will be there, I will see you soon. Hey, y'all, good. Thanks for being here. Thanks for checking in. Those of you who've been rocking with me since week 1 or have seen most of these, appreciate you being on board. Make sure that you remember that we are not just Saturday, but we're Sunday with the virtual AP Leadership Academy commentary, which I will write on the plane today. But we do the commentary, which is the follow-up to the Saturday Academy. So make sure that you like and follow the Facebook Virtual AP Leadership Academy Facebook page, because I only post it exclusively on that Facebook page. I don't have it on my regular page. You got to like and follow that Virtual AP Leadership Academy Facebook page. I created that page for assistant principals. Next week, we go that second Saturday, so we're back with Leading While Black. So I'll have authors from this book, Fighting the Good Fight, edited by Isaac Carrier and Aaron Griffin, both doctors, Dr. Isaac Carrier, Dr. Aaron Griffin. So we'll have 3 authors from this book, and we'll talk about leadership through a Black lens. But like I always say, these are not just for a Black audience, right? These are for everybody, because if you're not African American, but you're working in a school with African Americans, you need to know how we're thinking. You need to know how we're feeling. You need to know how we're seeing things, how we're hearing things, how we're feeling things, how we're experiencing things. Everybody needs to understand that, because the way we see the world, matter of fact, here, there's an article that I wrote recently on my blog page, and I wish I had the exact title, but it says, matter of fact, if y'all could indulge me for a second, let me just pull it up on my phone. Indulge me. I know I'm doing this in real time. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. I'm going to pull it right up here. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I went to the wrong page. One more time. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Stay there. Stay there. It's called To My White Colleagues. To my white colleagues, this is why so many of your African American colleagues teach. Once again, it's entitled To My White Colleagues. This is why so many of your African American colleagues teach. That's on my Principal Kafele Writes blog page. Check that out. I tweaked it and submitted it to Learning Forward as well, so that they're going to publish it as part of my column in that magazine. But you can read it right now in its raw state on Principal Kafele Writes. And I promise you, if you're not African American, it's going to show you some things that you maybe didn't know, right? You may not have known. So check that out on Principal Kafele Writes. That's my blog page. Or you can go to principalkafele.com and click the blog link, and you'll see it. There's the first blog, because I wrote it recently. But this is why your African American colleagues teach. Some of you may find it a little eye-opening. It may be something you hadn't even considered, but it'd be good reading. And feel free to leave a comment on the thread on the blog page. Other than that, y'all, appreciate you being here. Check out Sean Hurt next Saturday at 10. Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston, Dr. Tammy Taylor at 10:30. Unlock the Middle tomorrow night with Josh Tovar and Dean Packard. And then the Village Leadership Group with Dr. Roz Gaskins and Coach Williams on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6. Unlock the Middle's at 7 Eastern tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. So you make sure you check that out. All of these are Facebook Live. I showed you the 2 books that accompany the session. Here they are again, the Assistant Principal 50 and the Aspiring Principal 50. You can get them on Amazon right now. And you all know I just wrote a new book. I just finished it about a month ago, called Protecting Your AP Leadership Effectiveness, Protecting Your Assistant Principal Leadership Effectiveness. That will be out in May of 2023. And then I will write volume 2 of that book next summer. and volume 3 of that book the summer after. So I got a lot of writing in me. And then I'm gonna write a sort of a leadership memoir book in after I finish those 3. So I got a lot going, man. You know, I stay busy, I stay relevant. So make sure that you're staying busy and staying relevant. Make sure you're doing the writing. Make sure you're doing all the things you should be doing to keep your trajectory where it needs to be. So other than that, have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. Peace. Oh, I did that wrong. Let's start over. Peace. Peace. Now we go with the thumb. Thumbs up. Cock that fist back. 1, 2, 3. Bam. See y'all next Saturday. Leading While Black, 10:55 Eastern Standard Time.